We're gonna start our pitches right now, and we're gonna welcome our presenter, which is Alan Khan. Come on, woo! Alan, where are you? Where's Alan? Feel free to use this.
Shall we start?
Attention.
All right, gentlemen.
Attention, everybody. We're going to start now.
Hi, my name is Alam. I'm the CEO of Klaris. I want to start with asking a question. How many of you have purchased at least one insurance policy till now? Just show a raise of hands. Now think about how you purchased that. Don't you think it's still buying an insurance is waiting in line at a movie theater like it's 1990? We're building for that. I want to explain how things work in insurance industry. There are these 10% of the players which are carriers, but the 90% of the companies are essentially distributing insurance, which are agencies, are the major share, captive agents, and independent agents. So we're replacing all these with our agency. Now, running an insurance industry and agency is completely manual and very, very hectic. These are the 8 steps any agency follows. And it's, if you look at it hindsight, it's not an insurance company, it's highly optimized performance engine. These are like lead generation, the conversion, and then these 8 steps happens. A number like the largest agency which is there in US has only 4% market share, and they've been there since last 100 years. Just proves that how difficult it is to scale an agency, because you need a people to operate all this in an optimized manner just to grow. So you're after a $300 billion insurance brokerage industry and make it fully agentic. These are the 8 steps. We have a platform which connects with everything and creates specified agent for each of these workflows. The industry is really, really human relationship driven, so you can't eliminate them. There'll be few human agents who are going to be managing the relationship, governing the agents, and ensuring that the auditability is ensured. This is our solution. We have an operating system which connects with all the softwares which are there and used by an agency. Softwares like CRM, marketing softwares, understand what these systems and data looks like. After that, we develop specified agents like marketing agents, performance agents, contact center agents, and then deploy them where human basically assigns and approves the workflow that they're executing. And once they are getting executed, we are checking the workflows that the agents are executing and feeding them back in as a closed loop in the operating system. I'm going to show you a quick sneak peek of one of the customer use case. It's an life insurance agency, second biggest actually in California. They're using this for, we have developed a marketing efficiency agent, where the agent handles the entire marketing aspects of how the budget should be spent. So here it goes. So as soon as the agent sees 12% is down in terms of the spend, you can ask like, what's the issue with that? It can just surface the issues, checks where does it affects in the future flow, and then tells you an impact. What's the impact is going to look like? Now, the interesting thing is it's going to understand the historical data and suggest what's the action that you should take. So in this case, for example, it says, oh, your affiliate channels work best, just approve that and move this to an affiliate channel, and agent will perform that once you approve it. This is our traction. Been in business for 5 months, focused here, have revenue 27K ARR. The product that we've deployed with agencies, they are using 50% more to the plan that we have sold them. We're backed by some angels, ex-Sonic Wall, people who have sold their companies to Sonic Wall, some insurance leaders as well. And these are some logos that we're working with right now. In terms of the competition landscape, if you see, these are the agencies which have been there and the distribution companies that have been there for last 200, 400 years. This is where shift is. You must have heard about Corgi. Cafe is really famous. They are building a carrier, which is full stack AI native. Where we are is a lean AI native agency where you don't manage the risk. You don't need so much of capital. And we just focused here. So there are a few competitors, further AI and outmarket a few of them, but we are different from them by focusing only on life insurance and auto insurance. So these are the steps. Right now, what we do is, as I told you, we create agents to automate the workflow at one at a time. But as we do that, we're going to basically automate the entire chain that is there, which is generally similar for life insurance and auto insurance. Then we will launch a niche insurance product, which is basically going to be an AI agent insurance, because people are going to basically execute agents. So you need to have a product around that. And then as we will grow, we'll basically go into traditional products like life, health, and Medicare. This is the ideal customer. We sell to CROs, CEO, and CEOs of these mid-size agencies. If you just see, there are 400K agencies which are there. in US. And if you just target and sell our product, which is generally $10,000 of ACV, it just goes to $40 million in terms of our initial target, and not even targeting the TAM, which is going to be around $600 million, and which are just capped at a big market. Right now, I'm raising 500K pre-seed, focused solely on sales and growth, and doing some domain-related partnership with these insurtech firms. 30% is going to be focused on salaries and operations. Yeah, that's about me, and that's what we do. Happy to answer any question. This is me, I'm the CEO. These are my co-founders. All of us know each other for last 14 years. Vikram and me run a company called Stagnant Technologies in 2018, acquired by a PE firm in 2021. Then we manage their business. All of us this venture. Nolan has been a core tech in our team. Has built a ground-up insurtech operations platform from the scratch. So this is the team. Happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Yeah, we may open it up to maybe like 3 to 4 minutes questions after that few minutes.
So basically you do services. It's like if an agency wants to work with you pivot agents, especially from
So we are doing services as a software. That's the word. So agency is a service. We are trying to build software so that the entire service through our software.
into one time the software and then all agencies or each agency is different.
One time for all agencies. For example, the marketing agent that we built, if we deploy it into X like insurance agency, the same can be deployed into different agencies.
Okay, so because all agencies that you work, you use the same.
Yeah. It's not a custom term.
Yeah.
Any other question?
I'm gonna get a question. Do you actually work with the insurance company or with the agency that is pretty good friends?
Completely related.
Okay.
Companies, insurance companies have typically very complicated workflows, which are also getting automated, but it's just hard to get into them. So that's why I just focused on this agency market.
So with what you're doing, how much would you say it kind of cuts down that process? So I'm coming to that company for car insurance, and then that might usually take a day or two. Does this reduce, how much does this reduce as far as that workload takes?
So there's two impacts. The primary impact is not going to be the impact that we have. The primary impact is going to be, for example, an agency that has 200 people, and you have 10 people, the team efficiency. Of course, the secondary impact is going to be the impact that you're talking about. If someone does it in, let's say, typically it takes 20 days. It can be done in 10 days because there are few things which are handled internally to agencies that we can automate, but there are few things which are at carrier level. Carrier level will be applied. That we can't automate. So, for example, the agency that we're working with, it's a $20 million agency having 500 people. And we don't need it. We have to go forward. So many people to be there.
Hey, John.
I'm very happy to chat with any of you and connect on LinkedIn and talk about it.
And the next one we're gonna welcome to the stage, Rikesh.
Hi, thank you for having me here. My name is Rishi. I work with a company called Rezoomex. Essentially, we're trying to build the open marketplace of enterprise software. So, the enterprise software market today is worth almost 1.5 trillion in 2025, but it is growing quite rapidly as well. But the issue with most enterprises when they start building software is that they have some sort of KPI or a goal attached to it, but as in how they keep building, they lose sight of that goal. And they end up paying only for time and effort and not for the actual content. So essentially the enterprises, they get built by time and effort. There is no shared way to actually measure if the outcome is valid. And the spend in terms of AI today, token just keeps rising, right? So most companies actually have AI agents, but there is no essential way to verify, if the output that the agents are actually producing is resulting in some sort of an outcome, right? So the what bit gets defined very easily, right? The project requirement document, the specs, the story points. But the why is what rarely gets defined. And the pain that is worth solving is in the why. This is what people will pay money to actually solve. Right? So this is where what we're trying to go. So in most enterprise software products, the companies, the new role is emerging, what we call as the AI product builder. So this is essentially an amalgamation of a traditional product manager plus somebody who has development experience and also does a lot of customer building. So they are like a fusion of multiple roles all into one. And the primary responsibility for this particular role is to actually produce outcomes, not just output. So what we are offering is a navigable playbook, right? So I spoke about the why in the slide back. So what we are offering is a way to actually discover that why using human domain experts and AI into a playbook. So this is the navigable playbook. The playbook actually is we think of this one will act as a blueprint for building an agent to actually do the what, which is quite simple. And then it also serves as an eval set to verify whether the agent is actually doing what it's intended to do, whether it's actually producing the outcome that is resulting in the outcome that you define in the playbook. So this is what I just spoke about. You spoke about the outcome, the playbook provides context along with the human experts. Then the product builder actually builds the agent, and then the agent starts running. It's on the marketplace. If an agent can be reused, it most definitely will. And then the payment will all be verified. So we take a small percentage of what the verified company. That also gets defined in place. So we are not building the agents per se, we are helping the AI people actually build the agent. And so every time the agent produces an outcome, a business outcome or a KPI, that is when we also get paid. So that is defined in the So this enterprise engagement are essentially the beachhead, the marketplace, the compounds going from here. But we also have a trusted agent register, essentially, so to speak, which will have proven agents along with that track record of what they've done and what it could do for you as well. Of course, the outcome-based settlement is one of the key attractive USPs of our platform. And so this is sort of the target audience that we actually can go after. So mostly enterprise product companies who are in the B2B space with 200 to 1,000 employees, and people that we go after are essentially, VP on products, sales products. Yeah. So we are trying to move people away from time and token to a more outcome focused model. So your contract are not hourly or monthly, or we don't bill you like that. We have agents, because the agents that get built will come in value add and how they produce the outcome. And the entire process starts with discovery led, right? So discovering the why. This is our founder. He has about 4 decades of experience in software, and he also has had multiple ideas. For now, we are fully bootstrapped, but we're not looking really for investors. We are looking for people who can help us with a few bits on the GTM, and then also, help us get pilot. So that's what we are trying to do right now. Eventually, that into the platform. Let's see whether this is really a need that it works on. So that's what we're trying to do. If anybody is interested in doing pilot with us, happy to talk to them. And if they questions now.
When you say you have agents, right? Is it like a marketplace kind of thing?
It will eventually be that. Right now, so that we don't actually build the agent. The AIBD, so the AIBD is essentially sitting in the customer. So they can be employed or they can be free. And so whenever they build an agent, then that.
Why is this, I mean, why, how is it pretty different from like the media prompting, on my own,
Right, so. What we do is actually have human experts, right? So these are domain experts who have not just industry knowledge, but actually. So they are helping you define for very granular detail behind side, how you would actually measure the output of it. So like you said, you can always do something with cloud code, etc. You can build an API doing that. How do you verify that? If you don't have the data set of at least that particular company, context map, you don't have that. So the companies plus the domain experts plus our platform will build out like.
So in a way, that almost sounds like you're having personal quality assurance agents. Is that fair to say? Like, you develop something, you test it out, with quality assurance verifies it, make sure it operates as it should.
No.
No?
So the quality assurance would ensure that, the agent is technically sound, it's not going against the guardrails and stuff like that. That's not what we are doing. So what we are doing is building the eval set to ensure that the agent is actually producing the outcome it is intended.
What is the scope of the playbook? Yeah, or a specific task, or is that more broad?
We would want it to be a little bit more expansive. Because if it's just very task oriented, then you will not see the outcome that you have. So this is business outcome. That you will not get if it's just really task.
And that's something you're working with the client together to build.
Yes, yes. So we have a pilot running right now with is getting. Where we are trying to actually help them, which we eventually know. Sort of kind of value. One last question.
When I think of why, I think of user score. How does what you're doing, how do you kind of sort of work into what you're doing? Is it basically?
No, so the user stories are the what, and not the why. So it's actually the project requirements document, the user story, the definition, that's all the why. What goes into the user story? Why? That is what we want. Yes, that is what we have.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Presenter, we're gonna welcome Savita Duane.
Then you got black your eyes. Thank you very much.
You're not the guy.
I'm sure everyone knows this, nothing good happens after 2 AM from how I met your mother.
I disagree.
So the problem we are trying to solve, right? I'm an on-call engineer, an application goes down, they call me. Where is the problem, right? Things are not working, someone has to pick up a call, a page duty, a Slack message. and a Jira ticket, and that's where, okay, who owns it, is the right contact. And that's where Curlix.ai comes into picture. You see it, fix it, and improve it. We are 4 co-founders. One of them is at alumni meetup, so he's a little busy, but we are all hands engineer plus power deployment. So we are deploying as in when we are finding and debugging issues. So 6 tools, no answers. Every company they have multiple tools. Someone is having data, app dynamics, multiple problem places to look for, but at middle of the night, it's hard to find out, okay, I don't have access to this tool. Or that's like, who is the right contact person? There's an incident response team. There are multiple factors. And this is what we're building, the AI SRE agent for and with data governance. The big problem I notice with the AI agents these days is isolation, right? Everyone is using Curl, Copilot, Gemini, any other tool, but where are the guardrails, right? Like who can access what data? That's what we are trying to solve. Right? Each customer we have has a dedicated environment, so they do not cross the boundaries. We are providing row-level security and encryption, isolation, RBAC. Peter, you want to talk about this one?
So we are kind of dividing this into 3 different products. One is data labeling and data governance. That's the last other part is how we do the data scrubbing part of it. And we actually started with the governance layer first, and it makes us different. We started with the governance layer, we are with the governance layer, saying who gets access to what. We are mostly focusing on industries which is compliant or regulatory heavy. That's what is very industry. What do we do with this solution? We have kind of this Curlix OS layer that we call it as governance layer, which by default gives you the time box and it pass both of the data that is being labeled as the sensitivity of the blocking and approval. It is mostly that every human request, let's say there is an offshore who wants to execute and admit to the command, it goes through it and what the approval. It happens the same with paid users as well. It is we have different levels of tooling, what the tooling as well as general tools which everyone can see tooling here. This is one of the platforms when an AI or anyone wants to access any of the data, in this specific case, it's trying to access a Postgres database. It could get one of these accesses, it gets free for time-bound access that we need to get, which requires that you want to approve.
For example, you're trying to ask Copilot, right? What is the weather today, right? Weather or the location will be considered, for example, a PII data or some confidential information. That is where you can put it one command. I just want the person to only run one command. So the approval will sent on Slack. We want to approve this person to run this command because it's trying to get this data or not. That's where it is. You can install it through Brew Agent. It works. It gives you your proxy IP address, a temporary 30 minutes based on do you want one-time standing credentials. It gives you, and then you can use your own tool. You do not have to come to Curlix. You're a fan of DB Weaver, PG admin, any tool that you have, you get the credentials, you put in there, and you continue.
So how the approval request works? So as soon as the engineer requests, it will go, you will have to grant the access, Curlix will go grant the access, and whatever scope you want to, right? So for example, if you need read-only access or you just, and then we have also, in Curlix, we have marked few things as PII, PHI data will be masked. You cannot see it. So for example, if you're an engineer, many companies don't offer the data to be sent to India, right? So, or any offshore team, they don't want their data to see. So we can actually have the sensitivity to already fast, and then we won't be able to see the data. The previous slide where we have shown that you can request digital access or standard access accordingly. you'll get the access. And any unsafe command, say for example, any alter in a database, if you go alter or any update, it will be blocked if you're not, if you don't have the access to it.
And this is where you can see how much we redacted. This is a live screenshot from, I guess, the draft and from when we sent the slide, but this is what, how many requests are pending approval, how many sessions, and how much the data has been redacted. And you can see the dashboard, the workspace where you go and run the commands, you run it through a demo, and you can see my action, approval, history, sessions, request, and AI agent can tell you whether the command, if I want to go back and look like 3 months, whether this command met the criteria or not.
We have this investigation, all that, we dedicated, we have a skill library, we started with transport, but we saw skill. That's a popular name.
So what do we have today, right? The platform is ready. We have 23 skills. We have integration to, I would say, 50 connectors, Datadog, App Dynamics, Azure, AWS, 50 of them. Where have we deployed? We have one customer, a non-paying customer, so no revenue is there. What we are here for. And this is the architecture. We can talk into the detail if you want to understand how and where the logic is flowing. How we can onboard, we can do a quick 15 minutes deployment, you create a role, you create a trust, then we can do PPC, and then we can do a private link as well. Here is the ask. We are looking for someone who wants to give a try to the product. We are not right away looking for funding, it's like we have some detail, because we are keeping our footprint very small, we have only 4 of us. We are what we are looking for. If you have someone who wants to give it a try to the product, feel free to ping us. And who pays this? We are looking for the software and one database, one feed, and how it works. And this is where we are heading towards. Ask a question, get a root cause. It's running, it's very close to be rolled out. Yeah. Thank you.
Q&A.
So if you guys want to try it out, you can go ahead and scan the QR code and you can give it a try.
So, so one of the things that you had is something, and the last thing was proven. Right, so how, what's your approach to proving, and maybe even root cause?
Yeah.
How is it?
So we had this investigation graph. There is actually a video in this slide, but
Yeah, that
as well. But there is an investigation graph that you can see each tool call of the decisions that we make, the evolve, the confidence, scoring right over there. We are not solely relying on this new dot in file. Here, taking the deterministic approach of using code.
So, boundaries fixed.
Yes.
That's really.
And we have been testing really like with the customers and getting constant feedbacks and evaluating.
And with the ask AI, we are also trying to build that. So for example, if you have any issues and if you ask it, it is going to send you a proper reporting on what happened, what time it happened, what it investigated, and then you can definitely fix it, right? Yeah, I will fix it for you. You can see the reporting, you can fix it.
Is this also report blind about my
If it's a human error, you're gonna blast, post someone's name on blast or something.
He actually had one of our investigation demo which finds out who ran and.
Yes, and it says that the Slack message.
You're getting people fired.
Thank you very much. Okay, the next one, we're gonna welcome to the stage, Nolan.
Hi everyone, my name is Nolan. I'm the founder of AI native operating system for home services. So America runs on a $2.5 million US of services, and none of them are more than the so the market is really wide open. And here's the problem. The first responder always wins, but most contractors arrive last. So I will be a little short because too much information. The main thing that 30% of inbound calls go unanswered, and a big amount of contractors spend too much time on scheduling, routing, and dispatching. About 2 hours a day. There are one manager, and the market is in US is very wide, and till this moment about 85% of contractors still run on different tools or multiple tools and nothing on vertical software. And what we built, the system that operates like a AI office layer for private businesses, not as like it's very horizontal, not specific on something one or two verticals. How it works? There is different sources for leads in contracting businesses. So there is a customer text, phone calls, or some of the web source leads. So our system catch each of them and operates starting from the lead and finishing with a paid invoice. So there is like dispatching technician, scheduling the job, tooling the time slot, talking with customers, and smart scheduling and routing. And a little about the elements of the system. We use the agentic layers. We have a big amount of guardrails, the quality assurance agentic layer that see everything, decision making, smart routing. For example, somebody calls for a plumber and can handle all the process. It can schedule, depends on the area, the weather, the mission that is available, this time for tomorrow, and in a week. For now, this is not like an idea. We have a product, we have integrations with Stripe, with QuickBooks, and as I showed in the previous slides, there is integration with Stampak. There's Yelp, and also we have a self-hosted voice AI system. And owners and managers still can handle by themselves. So it can work like a simple CRM. There's remote automatic assistance and a manual. So at this time, contractors can handle all process in one system, not like they do it now. It's like integration with Yelp, with some tool, the voice AI for their calls, another tool, invoicing here, or noting, dispatching in CRM, a part of from other tools. So everything in one place. And our idea is not only the subscription, this is the payments markup and usage expansion. So this is our plans, and we are focused on like anchor for middle-sized companies. A little about us. My co-founder also owns a contracted company, so we live this problem and we know the competition, the features, the disadvantages, and the pain. Yeah, a contractor see on each of steps of the business processes. And we are like 2 weeks going to market and focused on the minimum target budget, like 300K, and mostly focusing on sales and product engineering. So what we actually do, once we got the A2P clear group certificate, it's like we work with T-Mobile, so we can register. We like phone number providers. We can register new phones. We can text. So it's very strict laws since last year, and you can't like text people from the company names, but for each of contractor companies, we can provide the number or transfer from the provider to us. And the architecture, a little about last features, which is not on our slide. Everybody's talking about the non-UI systems, like without interface. So we are focusing now on it. Okay. So we are focusing now on non-UI features, like some of contractors work without managers or have estimators, so they can like, hey, can you find this guy and text him that I'm late, or can you do estimate for the door installation and send the estimate to David Brown's email. So it works. We launched this previous week on production, and it works on our 2 customers. And a little about onboarding. We are onboarding now 3 customers and 2 already onboarded. And we provide also to each of them voice AI services, so it can handle everything from the call and text.
Thank you so much, Nolan. Yeah.
Yep, and I'm open to somebody after session to discuss.
Questions? Okay, since no questions, thank you very much. And we have our last presentation of the day. It's from Bumar Khim.
I'm only one of the outliers, because I'm not going to talk about the yet. But I'm going to talk about the health, because it doesn't matter wherever you invest, whatever the company is, if your health is not with you, you can't enjoy any of those companies. So, talking about the Accanito, it's an oncology company. We are the first in class asset we are working on. Required from the University of Massachusetts, partially done by Cancer Research Center. Very unique target, very unique mechanism. And I can tell you, we are probably the only company on earth who is using this technology and is human trial. We have the US FDA IND approved. We have the phase 1, which is ongoing, and we have like 80 patients who are completed with that. We are also have selected the GIST, which is like a stomach intestine cancer, for our phase 2 temptation market, and I will talk in a minute the why we would choose that indication. Strong IP, we have 3 patents issued, 2 pending. They're raising like $13 million. It's nothing basically in the health space. Normally, companies of my size will be looking for like $120 million. And we'll spend those money to complete the phase 1, start the phase 2, and then scale up our manufacturing the capabilities of the drug. And then, of course, we will also project and expand the IP worldwide. I have co-founded this company with Dr. Altieri, who is MD by education. He is the CEO and Star of Cancer Research Center. He has been working on this asset for 12 years. He is the brain behind. Myself, I have launched already 5 products, worked for 3 startup companies, have a nice success over there. I was working with them, not a C-suite, not a founder there. So talking about the problem, it's not a problem. In fact, it's a humanitarian, universal humanitarian threat we are working on. It touches everybody. I mean, we are talking about the cancer. It's a terrible disease. A single diagnosis can rewrite the future of the individual, the family, and the friends. It's a highly prevalent disease. I mean, we are almost like having 2.2 billion people diagnosed with a cancer in 2025. I will say it's still the leading cause of the death in the US. There's a huge burden on the family as well as the patient. I will say, you know, when somebody is diagnosed, it's really a huge financial burden on the family as well as on the healthcare system, as well as on the economy of the country. Let me talk about as a solution, we are developing a drug which would be effective for the multiple types of the cancer. So that's really the key in this one. Unlike the lot of other companies who are focusing on the DNA, RNA to basically cure the cancer because they believe that DNA got corrupted and now it's sending the wrong signal and the cells are dividing in an uncontrolled fashion. We are on the other hand are targeting the mitochondria. In simple terms, it's a powerhouse. What we do is we selectively switch off the powerhouse of the cancer cell and kill the cancer. We believe that this drug will be effective alone as well as a combination for multiple types of the cancer, and that's the key message here. It's not just the scientific theory. We have shown that our drug binds to this particular protein. We have shown clearly that our drug goes inside that powerhouse and switch everything for the cancer cell. Not only that, this is a very important. US is a bank of cancer cell lines. So not only we were able to stop their growth, this is a 0% growth. That's where most of the companies brag about their effectiveness. We, on the other hand, kills all these 6 different cancer cell lines. And it's widely published data. This slide may not have too much value because we are already in human trial, but to tell this story, we have tested this drug in 4 different indications: the prostate cancer, lung cancer, breast cancer, and we have shown that our drug has been effective. Normally, this is a typical way to take the tissue from the patient and put in the animal and then let it grow, and then you try test your drug to see whether it works or not. We also studied the bone metastasis. Clearly, our drug showed this is almost like a healthy bone. From here, it's very clear that our drug works in the animals. Of course, we put together the IND package, submitted to the FDA. They gave us the approval, and we would have taken this to the human trial. So now we have completed the current status is we have the 18 patients who have completed the trial. Okay, we have done the dose escalation because we start with a small dose and we continue to increase. These are the 14 different types of the cancers. Of course, the objective at this point is not to cure the patient, but rather to show that drug is safe. So the next stage we can start curing the patient. There are 4 patients who responded. The most important is the patient number 1. He was on the drug for 2 years. Walked out of the clinic completely clean, no recurrence since December 2023, and there are other patients where the drug has, the disease has been stabilized, and we will definitely that will help us to do the indication profiling. What would be the first one to go, what would be the second, and what would be the third? We did present to the ASCO. It's one of the largest oncology conference. This is our principal investigator. He did the press release, and we have the media coverage since June. I will say our strategy is to go. I mean, if you look at the overall market, it's a $250 billion market. We are taking the risk because we believe this is a rare kind of indication, and we can work with the FDA. They can give you fastest track to get the approval. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this small piece, take it all the way to the approval. Though the market is not huge, I will say it's a $1 billion market. The purpose here is not to grab the whole market. Purpose is to validate the science, to convince the scientific community and the doctor that this drug works, and then go back and take each of those pieces and bring to the market. I will say this is our plan. We have the phase 1 which is going. We will expect to finish it by the mid of the next year. Then of course, we will go into the expansion phase. At the same time, since it's a all coming in study, lot of patients, lot of different types of the cancer. So it will not help you to make the business case because at the end of the study, I will still have the one patient for this indication, one patient for that indication. So I'm gonna do design another study for 3 patients for the case. So this I have sufficient confidence to go into the, it will kind of reinforce my confidence to go into the phase 2. And when we are in the halfway phase two normally, in the oncology space, and we will give you the go ahead and get it done with you. We are raising the $30 million, it will take us all the way the mid of the 2028. But once we finish the phase 1, means the drug is safe, means I can go on earth and anywhere, any type of the cancer I can test and treat them, and that's really a big game changer. So that's where we're gonna raise the Series B, and we would like to close the Series B before we go into phase 2. We are expecting somewhere here to here, if science continues to deliver the promise that we have seen so far, we will have it done by the end of the 2020. So this is, I mean, if you look from the all the evaluation and all the investment we were trying to bring, well, can I change the valuation? So of course, we're looking for the Series A, which is a $30 million, and he was asking me why $30 million. We are not trying to build the kingdom. I mean, we need the whatever the money we need, we want to create the value, and then we will go for the Series B, and that's where definitely this serious evaluation will be done. And of course, then once we are in the phase, complete the phase 2, you can go for the item, and the game is completely different. So that's it. Thank you. One message is it doesn't matter if you invest in Tesla space. If you're not healthy, doesn't mean anything. So I think ethically, I believe every one of us should invest. Now, I mean, it might be alone, but in the health space.
Thank you. Open up to a few questions. So have you been able to like solve like some illnesses on like actual patients, or it's only like on animals?
No, it's actual patient. 18 patients here actually
already got some results.
Oh, yes, we are already in that's a game changer. Yeah.
Nice.
Yes.
So basically, it's the drug before the cancer?
No, normally in the cancer space, they will not allow you to dose the patients who have not tried everything. So in our case, they need to try all the marketed products. So unfortunately, if it works, they will never see our drug. If it doesn't work, the disease continue to progress. By the time they qualify for our drug, they're only sick, they have only 6 curves. So.
I'm curious, let's take your study on animals. What's the competitive landscape? What are the other companies that you're against, and what are the results compared to yours on
So it's a very interesting question. In fact, I'm not a clinician, by the way, I'm a chemical engineer, but now, of course, in my role, I'm learning a lot about the clinical side. Of course, I was always looking at the animal data. We have a fantastic data. We compare with the competitors. There's a lot of data. This is nothing we have published unbelievably. So we have shown our superiority. But the key question is basically how it looks like compared to the drugs which are already approved. Okay. So I compared with Daiichi, it's a Japanese company, and we compared, even though I have not gone to my higher dose, because 18 patient 85 milligram, I still need to explore the 85 to 320 milligram. So that gives me, from the basis of the animal data, I can go to 320 milligram, but I have dosed only 85. So even 85, my results are better than those guys, way better. They don't have any complete recovery. But I'm hoping when I will go from 85 to 320 milligram, that's where the real comparison will be. Because higher the dose, of course, the FDA wants us to do the baby escalations. Because they don't know which direction the drug can go, right? Even though I have a lot of animal data to say this drug is safe or it's effective, but they don't know. So I think the real thing is going to start when I get the highest side of the dose.
You target specific cancers, you target
That's the beauty. We are the only one, because we are targeting a universal target, which is the powerhouse. The mechanism of action is such that we go inside the mitochondria. Function, structure and functional changes in the mitochondria is the same, doesn't matter what type of cancer somebody may have. And that's what we are targeting. There are a lot of companies by the way who failed also in the, they never went to the human trials because they failed because of the safety issue. It's a sense that we figured out basically the best to get prepared based on the failure of that.
Okay, one last question. How does it factor this to the mitochondria, the cancer cell?
So there are two things, because the cancer cells are hyperactive. That means it needs more energy. So that means that is an overworked mitochondria, the powerhouse. And there are certain changes which happen on the membrane of that powerhouse. But we designed the component in a way, it takes the advantage of the hyperactivity of that powerhouse, get inside, blocks every switch I'm calling in a layman term, and then kill the cancer. Not only actually kill it, breaks the powerhouse, and there is a lot of like a cytokine which flush through the cell and then the cell will die.
Thank you very much.
We're just happy to answer the question. Anyway.
This is the last pitch for the night. Before we break off to the next session, I just want to share quickly about the Startup Valley, which is Startup Valley is a global event organizer, and we do events worldwide. So it's in many countries, and we have 25 cities now, over 850 events been created with over 40,000 people attending. And we are always open for partnerships and sponsorships. So if you want to connect with us, go email this hello@startupvalley.club, and that's how you get in touch with us. And before we break off, there's one more thing. I wanted to say a special thank you to this space, AI Start Academy, and I wanted to have Lex come and talk a little bit about it.
Well, what a trip. It was interesting to listen from the back room about all the ideas that you guys have been bringing in. It's a lot of impressive things that have been boiling up in San Francisco. There are so many smart people over here that know what they're talking about, and that's lovely. And this space was created specifically for that, to be able to share all the knowledge that is available in the Silicon Valley with the rest of the world and between ourselves. So we launched a school which is called the AI Start Academy, and we teach AI over here. This is a course for basic non-technical people who don't know much about development or AI or in general technology. Our students are very often marketing agency owners, people who are switching jobs, people who are switching careers, professionals who are trying to upskill. People come with zero technology knowledge, and then they pick up tools that we teach, and they 100x what they've been doing previously, automating their internal processes, automating their professional work, their personal lives, agency style, etc. So this is me. I've been at the for a while. At first, I was a part of 500 startup back in 2014. My main software company is called Custom Product Builder. It's a customization and personalization software for e-commerce, for manufacturing. So I've been a mentor at 500 Global. I teach CTO Toolkit for Startup as a thesis program at the university. I've been doing teaching for a while. Well, I'm a first generation immigrant. I moved to the US back when I was 21. I taught myself how to code after grading and interpreting university back from where I'm from. So in Academy, we have just recently started, we have classes in person, 3-week evenings, 6 to 9 p.m. and 10-day intensives, Monday to Thursday. So daily course is from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. and evening is from 6 to 9 p.m. These are the things that we teach. A lot of things are changing very rapidly, so program is up to changing all the time. And we have a workbook that we have developed that we follow during the classes. People come and we come from zero, go all the way from 0 to hero. HowAIStartAcademy.com has a lot of recordings as well as our YouTube channel. And this is a link to this event where I was pitching. You guys were recorded and your videos are live. If you want to see that recording, please scan this link and watch it for yourself. Thanks a lot for being here. I wish you all to raise all the millions of dollars that you can possibly raise. Change the world to the best possible outcome with AI, without AI, with medicine or without medicine, to the best possible outcomes for the whole humanity. And come back to more events. So much for the organizers, Startup Valley, and everyone else. Thank you. Feel free to hang out. You don't have to leave right away.